Hey, folks. So, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another live broadcast of the Rantings of Dani. As you all know, we've been talking about racism and repercussions specifically within school systems and specifically within Hawkins County, Tennessee. It's not the only area where we know these things happen, but it just so happens that we've had a number of families that have come forward and want to talk about kind of what's going on with them and what's happening to their children. Hey, Sherry, how are you? I'll give it a second for you guys to get in here. Hey, Melanie, how are you? Good evening. Good evening. Y'all doing all right? Y'all know yesterday was like a new moon. Today it was like 78 degrees. I'm feeling all kind of spring and goodness. Hey, Martina, how are you, lady? Y'all doing all right? Hey, am I saying your name right? You know, you're not gonna be able to tell me, right? But is it Mariko or is it Mareko? I don't really know. Hey, Jackie, how are you? Welcome from Florida. Y'all doing good? So I don't want to spend too much time waiting on folks to get in here. I want to give like just a minute. I want to recap really quickly and remind you all that we are currently putting together Tamerica. Gotcha. I got you, Tamerica Wilson. You know that's what we calling you. I like Wilson. Okay, so I want to remind you that we are in the process right now of putting things together for my talk show, like real live in front of a studio audience talk show. The goal is to hit our fundraising goal in the next several weeks so that we can schedule production dates. If you want to support, if you want to donate, if you want to get tickets to the live studio audience, if you want to become a sponsor because you have your own business, go to thedanicookshow.com. You can read more information there. You can go under the donation tab and you can actually see full transparency, what the funds are for. We've already raised enough money to do the set build. All of that is happening. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, so we're making this thing happen. We'll be recording 6 episodes very, very soon. And I'm excited, right, to be able to advocate for other people on a larger level. Appreciate that, Jackie. Thank you. By the way, several hundred of you guys watch every night that I do these. If all of you simply donated $25, you'd cover my cost. So get to PayPal or Cash App or whatever you do best. All right. So I'm going to dive right in and remind you all, okay, of what we've been talking about for the last little bit. Hey, Almighty. Hey, Kelly. How are you? Okay. So if you all remember last Thursday, I interviewed Jessica Day and Jaden Day. Hey, Addie, in Hawkins County. They're actually in Surgoinsville. Appreciate that. And the reason I interviewed them is because Jaden had been being cyberbullied, right? He'd been receiving Snapchat messages with other students telling him to kill himself, telling him to die, right? Telling him that his locks look like shit coming out of his head, literally. And that has been going on for the last couple of months. And then there was another student that had been calling him nigger for the last month. And listen, guys, I don't say the N-word because when you say the N-word, you reduce the impact of what that word really means and how it feels to people. And so these things have been transpiring with Jaden. I interviewed them. If you remember, Jaden had enough after his school did not take appropriate measures after being told what was happening to ensure his safety in a learning environment. And so Jaden responded and defended himself after being called a racial slur again, only to be punished. And then for the family to be told that the white student could not be punished or that they would not punish the white students because they didn't have a preponderance of evidence. Well, let me tell you what, there are several students that did say they heard Jaden be called a nigger. They did hear the word being said and still nothing was done. So on top of that, I came back and I came to you guys on Tuesday and I gave you some information about the disparity in discipline between races. And I started this conversation by showing you a quick video from a scene at a mall that happened 2 weeks ago. Do you guys remember this video from Tuesday, or are you already aware of this video where there's a white teen and a black teen and they get into a fight at the mall and then police officers break this fight up? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? I'm going to show it to you again. It's literally less than 1 minute long. And then we're going to talk about some numbers real quick before I introduce you to the next family. Okay. What's up, Jamie? So let me show you this video real quick. For those that haven't seen it, what you're going to see is a white student who is in high school, who is in a verbal disagreement with a seventh grader. An eighth grader by the name of Kai steps in, who happens to be black. And you'll see the white kid put his finger in his face. Kai push his hand away and say, "Get your finger out of my face." And then you see the white kid actually push him. And then I want you to see. So listen, white people, thank you for joining me. Let me just say this. White people, thank you for being here, because I know this may be an uncomfortable environment for some of you. I know some of you cringed when I said white people, right? And the reason why is white people aren't used to being called white people. You're used to being the default. Y'all are just people, right? The only time we add race in front of it or color in front of it is when we're talking about people that are not white, right? The only time, like when people are identified by the color of their skin in a news article, you don't ever read a news article and it say a white man did A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. You don't hear that, right? You only have color when it's a non-white individual. So that alone is going to make you uncomfortable. So thank you for showing up to an uncomfortable conversation and participating. That's what it's going to take for us to be able to create some common ground. So let me show you this video really quickly. Right now. Right out there, girl. You're talking to an 8-year-old. Get up. Go outside right now. Go outside right now. You're talking to an 8-year-old. What are you gonna do? You know I can have my face. Oh shit. Come outside. Oh shit. Yo. No, bro. Chill. Brian, get up. Brian, leave. Now you see what happened with the cops, right? You see that the white student is put on the couch, told to stay, while the black boy is laid face down on the ground with knees on his shoulders, near his neck, and on his back.
Oh no.
These officers can't listen.
Yo, it's because he's black.
So even the students were like, yo, it's because he's black, right? So when we talk about implicit bias, we are talking about the things that we instinctively do before we even think about it. Sometimes white folk get upset because y'all are like, I'm not racist, because you think racist means you're wearing a KKK hood and carrying a tiki torch. You don't realize that there are levels and there are things so the implicit bias that you have when you have a position as a police officer, as a teacher, as a lawmaker, when you have these biases that are there instinctively, and then you are part of systems that create laws and policy for other people, that is what makes the things that you do have the potential to be racist. Okay? So don't get all defensive and be like, well, I'm not a racist just because you're not marching down the street, with a burning cross. Racism is a little more coy than that these days, right? And so we're going to be talking about that. One of the things that I want you to imagine is, what's up, Mindy B? Imagine if that fight that you just saw between those teenagers had taken place in a school cafeteria, in a gym, or in a classroom. And imagine that those police officers had been resource officers at the school. What you would have seen is you would have seen the black student, right, thrown to the floor, more likely to be out of school suspended. How do I know that? Because the data tells us that. You may remember this information from Tuesday. When per every 100 students enrolled, for every 100 white students enrolled, they only lose 21 days of school for every 100 of those due to out of school suspension, compared to 103 days for black students, 63 days for Hawaiian or Pacific Islander students, 54 days for Native Americans. You guys get the point, right? The point is that there's a disparity that is taking place. And as a result, our children are missing days in school. And as they have a gap in those days of learning, they also have a gap in academic achievement. So we're going to talk about how all of this leads to the school to prison pipeline. And this next student that I'm about to introduce you to is a perfect example of this. I'm going to show you his disciplinary report. I'm going to show you how he could legitimately be at the beginning stages of this pipeline that we talk about that many people say don't exist. Okay. So I will say this for those of you guys who are watching, if you don't like what I'm talking about and you are willing to hear, stay here, be here. This is a minor that's coming here. Anyone that is disrespectful, anyone that says hate speech, anyone that does any of those things, you'll be blocked and reported. So just be clear, we are here to protect the babies, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so just so y'all are clear. So the family that I'm going to introduce you to, Dad is actually in the background watching the little babies, and I've got Mom Erica and her son Keelan. They're with me. They're joining me tonight. Welcome, you guys.
Hi.
So we had a chance to talk earlier this week. Erica and I have been kind of talking quite a bit. And Erica, share with me what made you hit me up after kind of seeing the things regarding Jaden and that sort of thing. Share with them why you contacted me.
When I saw another mom speak up and speak out, then I literally felt that I needed to as well, because I feel like I've been alone, like fighting this battle for years. So seeing someone else made me feel more comfortable to come forward.
Gotcha. Keelan, you and I talked because you weren't sure.
Mm-mm.
Tell me why you weren't sure. What was your hesitation about coming forward and speaking out publicly?
Like the repercussions that could happen at school. Like what could happen if I spoke up about it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think that could be? Do you mean from students? Do you mean from like the school staff?
Probably them, most likely. Yeah.
The school staff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jaden felt the same way. And this really bothers me that children feel like, so do you all understand that how dangerous this is to create an environment and a culture where children feel like they can't speak up when they are being targeted, when they are being persecuted for fear of repercussion, not even just from the students, but from the actual people whose job it is to create a safe and productive learning environment for these kids. And that's an important thing for us to remember. So I told you this before, and I'll say it again. You should be very proud of yourself for being willing to speak your truth and share what's happening to you. So, Erica, very briefly, I know how many children do you have?
4.
You have 4. And you shared with me that Keelan is not the only one that has experienced things like this. And Hawkins County is not the only school system. So give me a little bit of a background and tell me about, if you were just going to estimate how many racial incidents do you think your children have endured in the public school systems, and which ones? It's okay. And take
a lot. Probably, I really can't even give you an estimate, to be honest, because it's numerous. My daughter experienced issues, but like we talked before too, on a different level, because as a girl, it was kind of different. With boys, it kind of leads to fighting and things of that nature. Keelan, on the other hand, I mean, this has been going on with him in 2 different school systems, and it started in kindergarten. So.
Really try to steal my shoes.
What'd you say?
I mean, when I was little, like they would try to steal my shoes and stuff. It's bad.
That's been pretty consistent. So, Keelan, talk to me and share with me, what are some of the most significant things that have been said to you or done to you that stand out?
I mean, I get called monkey a lot, so that has something to do with it. I mean, they don't really use the hardy R word like that anymore towards me ever since what happened, but...
Ever since when? What happened? Tell me, ever since when? Ever
since I got in the fight with the kid.
Which was September of last year, right?
Yeah.
September of 2021. So we're going to get there in a second. So after this fight, you're not necessarily being called nigger anymore, but you're being called monkey instead. As if one is any better than the other. How do you feel having these things said to you?
I mean, it gets me really mad sometimes, but it really makes me mad whenever they call me it. But I mean, I really can't do anything about it because I mean, I might get in trouble for doing something.
So you have to take all of your emotions and bottle them up and not really get to say or do anything about it because you feel so you feel like if you report what's happening, or if you act on your anger, you'll get in trouble and nothing will happen.
Most likely, yeah.
Most likely. Got it. I want you to share with me. I am already aware of the event that took place earlier this week, but I would like for you to share with everyone what happened in the cafeteria this week at your school.
Well, it was whenever we're walking in and stuff, we're going to our table, hang out with friends and talk and stuff. And they're passing this paper around, and then my friend Dylan shows me it. And it's a guy with a KKK suit on holding a torch looking down at Monkey Island.
Okay. See, so I get mad all over again. So you're at school and you're in the cafeteria and they're passing this around. As they're passing it around, what are they saying, or what are they saying or doing?
Well, I guess my other black friend that was sitting there was laughing it off too, but everyone else was that laughing, making jokes at it and everything else. And the guy that drew it said that it's cool, man. He said I'm black, but I'm albino. That's why I'm white. And I really don't believe that. So, I mean, It's not really an excuse to do it anyways. So,
right. So let's talk about that, because you said he was kind of laughing it off. The other black guy that was at the table with you. Did you see, and you might not have seen it, Keenan, did you all see, the viewers who are watching, did you all see the video that came out in the last year or so? And it was a black police officer, and it's a camera that's inside the police station, and his supervisor, his captain or whatever, or chief, had actually taken like a yellow police jacket, laid it on the black officer's desk, and put the hood up like it was a hoodie, and put like a little KKK sign across it and whatever. And so when the black guy comes in, they asked him in his interview, well, why did you laugh? And he said, what was I supposed to do? I think sometimes people think because you laugh that you're not offended by it. But if you feel like you can't retaliate, if you feel like if you say something, no one's going to help you, if you feel like the people who are in positions of power are working against you, laughing it off. You ever heard that saying, laugh to keep from crying? Sometimes you laugh to keep from laying hands on somebody. You know what I mean? Right, Mindy, it is self-preservation at times. And so that's important. And so one of the things that I want to stress to you and your friend is, because I know sometimes we can feel guilty for like not saying something in the moment or laughing or whatever. First of all, you're 14, and it is very, very delicate, even as an adult, to address those things when they happen, right? And so as a kid, no one expects you. None of this is on you. None of it. Not one single ounce. It's every bit of it is on the adults, because it's their responsibility to take care of these things. Right. Jamie Fair says, because you'll be considered the troublemaker like they call me. Yeah, absolutely. So this situation happened, and Erica, you contacted the school.
Yes.
You sent an email. Share with me the first response that you got from the email that you sent.
Well, basically I was told that, well, let me just say this. In my email, I said, please do not respond to me like you have in every other incident that involves race by saying that my son laughed at this or that he did something else that is non-related to this,
right,
to blame him or justify this incident.
Mm-hmm.
So in response to that, I get that all information is relevant, and basically that the context is also relevant as it shows to how students relate to one another.
So I'm going to read what she got back, because y'all know, this is the thing that does make my heart smile a little bit. Erica is as good at receipts as I am, and it makes me happy. It makes me happy. So this is the email that she received in response. It says, Mrs. Qualls Relaford, your email has been received and an investigation will be initiated. All information will be considered as the investigation unfolds. Understand that relevant information does not minimize the allegation. However, the context can become important as students relate to one another. That being said, this matter will take some time to investigate fully. Then he says, a couple of immediate questions I have are as follows. Do you or Keelan currently have the drawing? And 2, do you know the names of the students involved in the drawing? And it was from Scott Jones, who is the principal at Churchill Middle School. So I'll share with you all, Mindy said, oh, hell no. Right. So I'll share with you all what happened after that. So this happened in the evening time, in the afternoon time. And the next day, I had made a phone call to Matt Hickson, who is the director of schools for Hawkins County. Both of the middle schools that are in question here, Burgoynesville and Churchill Middle, are Hawkins County school systems. So I had left a message with the secretary for Matt Hickson and said, hey, I'm calling about some issues that are happening at your middle schools, gave some names and asked for a call back. What Erica did not know was that Krista Mann, the principal at Burgoynesville Middle School, and Matt Hickson, they had contacted Jessica, Jaden's mom, and said, first of all, we don't feel comfortable talking to Dani Cook, even though you gave her a release saying we could talk to her. They don't want to talk to me, which is okay. Got it. I can't imagine why, but okay. And then Erica got another email and she asked me, you talked to somebody? I said, I left a message. I made a call over to the director of schools because this is what they said next. Mrs. Qualls Relaford, the investigation has been wrapped up rather quickly. Now, remember, y'all, just what time was the other one? The other one was 7:55 a.m. on March 2nd. He said, your email's been received. It's going to take us some time to get it sorted out. Listen, by 11:58, he was done. So let's check out the time. 7:55, we got you. It's going to take us some time. 11:58, we're done. And this is what he says. 2 students were found to be involved directly with the incident that you described, and they are being held accountable by the school discipline policy. Their respective parents have been communicated with and understand the seriousness of this matter. Our school counselor has also been made aware so that she can check in on those involved and educate as needed. Your son, Keelan, was interviewed early on in this process so we could get his perspective as we finished interviewing him. I told him that I am sorry that this event happened, and I will echo that to you as well. Thank you for your timely communication. Now, my understanding is there's a few things the principal, he left out, right? He told Keelan, he told you he was sorry you went through it, right?
Yeah.
What else did he say, though?
Okay.
He told me he told me to use it as a teaching moment.
And what else?
It's Keelan's job to take this as a teaching moment, folks.
Yeah.
So
you won't be in trouble.
So here's my understanding, Keelan. You were being a normal boy, and at the lunchroom table a few weeks ago, several of you boys were making inappropriate gestures at the lunchroom table, and you guys got called down for it, right? Because you were making inappropriate gestures. And the principal told you what? He told you that those inappropriate gestures that you guys made were what?
Were equal to the drawing.
So I need y'all to understand what this student is being told. This boy is being told that a group of boys, and I just like this riles me up because y'all do remember when the president of the United States of America said, grab him by the pussy, everybody was like, it's locker room talk, right? That's what everybody said. But now these boys are literally middle school boys doing inappropriate gestures, which I am not excusing. You know better, right? Not excusing. He's smiling because he knows better, right? So like I'm officially Auntie Dani at this point, right? Which means you know better. And here's the thing, right? Here's the other thing. You've heard us say all the time, we can't do what they do. You've heard us say this all the time. We don't get to do what they do. Because when we do, and someone persecutes you and has a racist drawing of someone in a KKK hoodie looking at Monkey Island, they tell you boy behavior, middle school boy behavior is the same, is equal to being persecuted for the color of your skin.
Yes.
That is why. So folks that are watching, just so you know, that is why we tell our babies, you can't do what they do. Because if they don't come for you when you do it, it will be used against you when you speak up and speak out.
Yes.
Right? And so that's the situation that it puts our kids in. Now, those of you, you might be shocked when I tell you this isn't the worst thing. Keelan, tell me what happened in September.
Well, it was going on for a while. I mean, I was chilling, talking to my friends at the table, and then this kid, Joseph, was. Oh, my bad. Sorry. This kid was like repeatedly calling me the N-word.
You say the word. They need to get it.
He would repeatedly call me nigger behind my back, call me a lousy porch monkey, and some more names. And then I confronted him about it, said, no, I didn't say anything about it, and then kept on saying it again and again and again. And so then one day at the lunch table, he said, you won't fight me, pussy. And I said, yeah, you're right. I don't fight speds. So I left it alone. Then move on to like the end of the day. And then I'm going, because it was during football season, I'm going to go to the locker room, change up so I can get ready for practice. He tells my other friend, like he calls her a nigger too, and he's still talking crap to me behind my back, like as I'm walking down there, like to where I can hear it to make me mad. And so I open the door, get out there. He opens it again, yells at me, tells me I won't fight him, pussy. And I said, I walk up to the door. I said, I'm not doing this with you today. I'm going over there and I'm leaving you alone. And I try to shut the door. He smacks me across the face and then turns away and says, bye, pussy. And so then I open up the door. I go at him. I push him. We start fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Then I get pulled off him. Then we go. Took a while, but then I went to the office. We talked about the problem. And then it really didn't fix anything. I mean, I still went to go to play the game, but I had to serve 2 days at ISS while he had to serve nothing. Like, he was there having fun, talking to his friends at the lunch table while I'm stuck eating lunch inside of an empty classroom.
So I want to be clear about what you just heard. This boy walked away from someone antagonizing him, repeatedly calling him nigger, following him to the door, saying, you won't fight me, pussy, right? This kid says, I'm not doing this. I am walking away. I'm going over there. I'm not doing this with you today. And the kid slaps him. And because he retaliated, because he defended himself after being antagonized, after being made to, like, seriously, right? And he gets hit, and he's the one that spends 2 days in ISS while the white student gets nothing. Now, y'all might think maybe that's not what happened, right? They have cameras, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to show you guys the incident report. Because let me just tell you something. In a normal, let's just say we were talking about 2 black dudes and this was out in the streets and the police saw a video where one person continually tried to pick a fight with the other, like hurling racial slurs and then physically assaulting them. You were assaulted, right? You were assaulted, and then you got punished for defending yourself. So I want to show you guys, this is the office discipline referral form. This is Keelan up here. This is the date, right? What time it happened. And now I'm going to show you a close-up of it. So it actually says, teacher comments, Keelan was slapped by another student and began fighting. No, he was slapped by a student and he defended himself. Fight was broken up by Mr. Momus. Is that right?
No,
Thomas. Mr. Thomas.
Oh, it's all slurred together. Mr. Thomas. So he's punished. Here's the other part, though, that I want you to see. Let me pull this part back up here. Do you see this part down here, y'all? It says the administrative decision is in-school suspension, 2 days, and then it says 50 points. Erica, I would like for you to explain to people what 50 points means.
Not only do they do like disciplinary in Hawkins County, but they have a point system. Once you receive, I believe it's like 150 points, you go to alternative school. So we are a third of the way to alternative school from one incident. And may I add, Dani, you forgot to say, when he gets sent to the office immediately following the fight, they put the white kid on the school bus and send him home.
Thank you. So, yeah, I got a lot of information in my brain.
Yeah.
So after this occurs, Keelan gets taken to the office. The white kid gets put on the bus and is sent home. Now, if I want to make all of y'all mamas watching really mad, Erica is there because Keelan's a little spoiled, like, some of our kids are. And she brings him a Gatorade every day. So she's there to bring Keelan a Gatorade and finds out that this fight has happened. So she goes to the office. Erica, what happens when you ask to go into the office with your child?
They told me no, that I wasn't allowed to come in. Not yet.
So this mom was told, you cannot have access to your minor child who's just been slapped and assaulted by another student. Nope, you don't get to come in, not yet.
They wanted to know why I was there.
Yeah, they asked her why she was there. She said, what? Because my kid is here.
Right.
Yep. So Jessica has this great point right here. So she says, but bet they still wanted that black kid to play that football game. Talk to me about that part. Tell me about this ISS and how this happened. What happened about football?
You want to say? Well, they ended up fixing the ISS to where he could still go to practice and play in the games.
My coach convinced him to let me play the game.
I bet it didn't take much.
No.
Right? So understand what happens to our black boys. Okay? They get in trouble if they defend themselves. For many of them, so like Jaden's an honor roll student, right? I'm not sure what your grades are like, Keelan. I would assume they're decent, right? Because your mama looks like she might stick her foot up your tail, right?
Yeah.
What are your grades like? What are your grades like?
They're good.
Okay, so he's got good grades. So, but even if you have decent grades, even if you have good grades, for many people, the way out is sports, right? That's where the money is most of the time for our black students, right? Especially our black boys. So it's this conundrum, it's this double-edged sword, because for many of them, not only is that sport, whether it's football or basketball, not only is that sport their release, their gift, their way out, right? It's all of those things. And so it's wrapped up, right? Mindy said, shut up and play, which is exactly what they told LeBron, right? Shut up and dribble. So it's this double-edged sword that happens. What makes me very angry about this is they act like, and I'm just going to put it right out there, they act like they own your kid, like your kid is their property. You can't have access to your kid. He's ours, right? We own you. That's pretty much, for me, that's what it boils down to. It is like there is still some residual slave mentality that just hasn't quite resonated with folks there and in these school systems, that you don't get to own our kids. To tell a mom, no, you can't come in, you got to wait outside in the hallway. To tell a student, use this as a teaching moment. Listen, use being persecuted for the color of your skin as a teaching moment. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Right? There's a problem. And the problems that I think are showing themselves up in Churchill Middle School and in Sir Goinsville Middle School, I believe these are legal problems. I believe these are civil rights problems, right? I believe these are the Civil Rights Act. I think it's being violated, right? And I don't just think so, I know so. I've actually talked to individuals. So here's my thing. Kim said Ida went to jail that day. So here's where we are. We're at this place now where we're putting together multiple statements from multiple parents and students around the issues that have happened to their children. I think one of the things that makes it kind of different for you, and I don't want to speak for you. I don't want to speak for you. Keelan, let me ask you this, right? So I know it makes you angry. Can you use any other word to describe how you feel when you go to school and when you're in those environments?
Like I basically got to be on my guard all the time, I guess. I mean,
so you have to be hyper vigilant.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna take off my broadcasting hat for a second. I'm gonna put on my coaching hat for a second, right? And I want you all to understand the way the brain works. Exactly. Mindy, you knew where I was going. You're in fight or flight, fight, freeze, or flight at all times. So what happens is our brain develops neural pathways when we get triggered by certain circumstances, so that we can both physically and emotionally survive. And every day that you walk into those school doors, you're in an environment where your triggers are readily available. I mean, your neurons are firing consistently and hypervigilant. And what happens is as you go through life, you'll carry that trauma into college classrooms, college locker rooms. You'll carry it into corporations and boardrooms because it's how you've learned to survive. And it's no fault of your own, right? And that's the part that I want you to really take from this, right? Is that there's nothing, I don't know about you, but is there a part of you that felt like maybe a little bad about going public?
I mean, not really. No,
Not really?
I mean, I think it needs to be heard.
Okay, good. Because there were times when I'd be like, well, but of course, like I'm much older than you, youngin. So like back in my day, I was like the first of the first, right? They didn't really know what to do with me. And Mindy said, oh, good, no shame and no guilt. And that's a big thing. We want to keep you. Hey, Jaden. How are you? Hey, love. So Jaden, meet Keelan. Keelan, meet Jaden.
What's up?
I think, so here's my hope. My hope is a few things, right? As we talk about some of these things. Because Erica, you said something to me earlier today. You asked me, did I want your husband to be on, his dad, right? Mm-hmm. Share with me why.
Because I want people to see that this happens to all children that look like this, from families that are broken, families that are together. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic status we are or what our households look like. This is across the board.
You said you didn't want people to assume his dad
was uninvolved. Yes.
Was uninvolved. Right. Because that a lot of people have that perception. Well, if it's a black boy, then his daddy's nowhere around. His daddy is right back there in the background. Yeah. Daddy's got all the other kids right now while the two of them are doing this broadcast with us. So very involved dad. You guys, tell me a little bit about your family. You guys have a traveling football team, right?
Yes. And we have one in Hawkins County too, a regular fall ball season.
Regular fall ball season.
Yes.
So you guys are a couple that not only, has kids of your own, but you all are kind of like secondary parents and go to aunties and uncles for other children in the area who play ball and things like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to switch hats for a second and talk to mom for a second. So Erica, a lot of times people see mama bears and they see us angry, and they don't understand that the anger is really a lot of other emotions as well. So tell me how it feels for you to know that your son's being called a monkey at school all the time.
It hurts me because I can't protect him. I can't stop it. There's nothing that I can do about it. I think at first, sorry, go ahead.
What are some of the things you've tried to do?
I have met with principals. I have met with teachers. I have met with coaches. I mean, I've met with people. I've emailed. I have tried to reach out to attorneys. I mean, I've tried to do everything, and I just have hit a brick wall. Like I can't get anywhere.
Yeah. And I think that had an impact as to why when you saw Jessica speak out with Jaden, and I wasn't feeling good Saturday evening and Sunday, and you hit me up on like every page I had. Literally, I was getting messages from your mama on every page I have. And when I talked to you, you said, I mean, I finally saw somebody, and I feel like maybe there's this opportunity to get something done, right?
Yes.
What are some of the things that you would like to see done?
I would like to see the handbook in our school system out here changed so that it incorporates things that affect our children this way. I would like to see the staff held accountable, the administrators held accountable. And I think that they need to be aware of the way that they speak to our children and the things that they say. I want to make it to where children who do these things are punished. Like the precedence needs to be set that this is not allowed, this is not okay. So it will literally, it's not going to stop it, but it will minimize it.
Right. Because those things take time, right?
Yes.
We don't know that everything eventually goes away, but the idea is to reduce it, right?
Yes.
So I want to talk about one more thing. Keelan, you're not just experiencing racial persecution at school. You've even experienced it going to church. You were invited to go to church, and you came home with a card. Y'all, I want to show you all. Keelan was invited to a church in Kingsport, Tennessee, where y'all know I was just living outside of the hospital, right? And when he came home from that church, this is the card they had given him while he was at church. Someone had given him, and we're going to find out who in just a minute, but I want y'all to just read the damn card for yourself. The back of the card, I'm going to tell y'all what the back of the card says. The back of the card says, this card grants its bearer happiness and success because it's the color of your skin and not the choices you make that determine your abilities to be successful. Now, I want you to know that this card is being sold by a lot of different people. You can get it on Amazon, as a matter of fact, but it's being sold by two light-skinned twins called the Hodge twins. To me, they're just like Candace Owens' Uncle Ruckus ass. Another black guy by the name of Joel, what's his damn name? Joel Patrick. He's another one. And here's what I think is interesting about some folks, because there have been many of y'all who have come onto my live and said, Dani, you just want to stir stuff up because of race. You're just using this to make money, which, by the way, nobody's paying me to do what I'm doing yet. And yet, let me throw that into the universe. But they're the black folk, like the Hodge twins, and what did I just say that dummy's name is? Joel Patrick. Those black people that are selling these cards, y'all ain't got no issue with them. They're not race baiters. They're not troublemakers. They're not any of that, right? Just me, because I'm standing up for black folk, right? So I ask, just like you all asked, what the church was. And Jay and Keelan can't remember the name of it because it was last year. They were even looking through text messages trying to remember the name of the church, and they can't remember. Here's what I will tell you is that if we can find out where the church was, well, first of all, share with me, how did you get this car to church? What happened?
I mean, we all were just there chilling and stuff, and my friend's brother, he asked me if I wanted it. I said, yeah, sure, why not?
So he's passing it out at church.
I guess it was the only one. I mean, it was in his wallet, and I asked him if I could have it. He said, sure.
Got it. Teresa said, give the general location. Look, they try to GPS the church, Keelan. They try to GPS the church and figure out where it is. We'll try to figure that out. At a later date and time. And if I can find out, I have no problem addressing it. How old, have you ever seen these at school at all?
I mean, no, not really.
No, at one instance? Okay. So understand that even in Jesus's house, because y'all know folk around there love to claim they love Jesus, right? What did Commissioner Mark Vance say? I'm going to stand with Jesus because I love him. That's the reason I said, let's let the war begin, because I love me some Jesus. Yeah, because Jesus wants you to call an army to war. Got it. And yeah, I say that sarcastically because I don't like it when people use religion to justify racism or to justify hatred or to justify violence. I don't think that it's appropriate. What I really truly believe is that the minority families who have reached out to me in Hawkins County, I think not only do you have a valid human issue, I think you have a valid legal issue when it comes to the rights of your children. And I am super grateful for the bravery of your children. It speaks not only to your kids, but it speaks to you as parents. It speaks to the support that you give them, the encouragement that you give them. We have seen a dramatic increase in the suicides among children in the last year or two, especially, right? As related to cyberbullying and bullying. You guys had a student locally commit suicide due to bullying. And I think it's important for people to understand that hate speech is bullying. That incident form, nowhere on it does it say hate speech, racism, any of that stuff, right? Doesn't say any of that stuff, and it should. I'll tell you this, I've got a phone call to make because my understanding is there's a Sullivan County commissioner whose son is letting that hard R, that nigger, come out of his mouth when it pertains to some other students. And so I got to make a phone call regarding that. Here's the call to action for those of you guys who are watching, right? The call to action is letters to the Department of Education, letters to Hawkins County School System, letters to the editor, all of those types of things. That's the call to action. While I wrap this up, is there anything else, Erica or Keelan, that you all want to share with everybody before I let you go?
I just want to say that I don't think this is I want to make it clear, like, we don't think this is a whole Hawkins County thing. Yep. Because we have lots of friends out here. We have lots of support out here, and we don't have these issues every day. I think this is a school system thing. I mean, I know it goes deeper than that, but our issues lie within the school system and the way those work and the things that are allowed to be done.
Yeah, because the system's not protecting your kid in that environment, right? We've also talked about, like, because of what you all do in the community, listen, it's so funny because, like, if you remember Malcolm X, he said the most segregated time in America is high noon on Sunday, right? Because when Black and white people go to church, it tends to be very segregated, right? Well, what's so interesting is just like after church lets out and NFL comes on, it's one of the most integrated times in America, right? Because when it comes to, there are certain things, sports is one of them, and music is one of them, that people can get past the color when you're playing the music they want to hear, or when you're running the ball the way they want you to, right? And so, I said this before, these broadcasts aren't because we're saying everyone in Hawkins County is racist. Not saying that. I do know that in Burgonsville, where Jessica lives, that is where the hate group White Lives Matter was founded, right? If you go to the Southern Poverty Law Center and type in White Lives Matter, you will see that the co-founders, they live right in Burgonsville, right? So we know that what's there is there, that it's not everyone. And there's a vast opportunity to learn the differences between overt racism and covert racism, because there's a lot of difference, right, folks? When we start talking about bias compared to prejudice, compared to bigotry, compared to racism. And so these are all opportunities for everyone to talk and become educated and to learn more. So, yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, I don't think all white people are racist. I don't think everyone back home is racist. What I think is that there are systems that exist back home that have been so racist from such a long time that the systems are still built and still run by people with those biases that that lead itself to where these problems occur. And that's legit what I think and what I feel. So I remember she said they did a Black Lives Matter protest in Rogersville and they were disgusting, so vile. I've seen footage from that. I had footage from that was sent to me. So Jamie says, I live down the street from Churchill Middle School and the elementary school. It's time to get a bigger BLM sign. Yeah. So I appreciate you all coming on. For those of you guys who are watching, if you are parents of a minority student that is being racially targeted, harassed, persecuted, we are going to have a Zoom meeting specifically for your families, for the parents, this Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have posted the link and I will post it again on this live so that you can click the link and join it. The purpose of that is for me to be able to give the rest of you the information that I've been able to give to Jessica, that I've been able to give to Erica, for you to get the complaint form for the NAACP, for us to be able to kind of get organized. There is power in numbers, power in voices. And Jaden, if you're still watching, and Keelan, one of the things that I have also offered to your parents is that if you all want a space to be able to talk amongst yourselves with or without me, I'm down to set up a Zoom meeting for you and for me to exit or for me to stay, whatever you guys would prefer, so that you all can talk about what you're experiencing as you speak out. Are there things happening that you maybe do or don't want to tell your parents? And this is my rule around when children share with me. Been working with kids for decades now. Everything you share with me stays between you and me unless someone's safety is a concern, right? So when it comes to a safety issue, then it just is what it is. So if you all determine that you all need, Jessica said, she just said Jaden and Keelan need to link up. Yeah, she says message her anytime, Erica. So
Okay.
yeah, so we'll make all this happen. I appreciate you all for sharing with me. I know you have a whole lot more to your story, but we're just going to keep it in the hat for a minute, and give the rest of that to the NAACP and the folks who need to have it, and then go from there. So I appreciate you all. Thank you very, very much for your time. And I'm going to let you guys go. Y'all tell Keelan and Erica bye for me. You guys are welcome.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
All right. So listen, folks. With Keelan's story, y'all saw my whole table just go down. I have a standing table that I can adjust, and it just went shoop. But anyway, I want to sit back for just a second because I think it's evident the age difference too between these two kids, because Jaden is 12 and Keelan, I believe, is 14, and you can see the difference just in their in the way they kind of carry themselves. I think too, the other thing is that Jaden was being told to take his own life, which is incredibly hateful to say to a child. And it breaks my heart for both of these boys because no one should be going through this. And I want to show you all really quickly. Remember what Erica said about their point system and the fact that when they get 150 points, they go to alternative school. And remember, you hear people all the time, there's no such thing as the school to prison pipeline. But I want y'all to look at this. This is what we talk about, right? When we talk about that Black students get arrested more at school, 31% of all school-related arrests come for Black students. When we know that Black students are out of school 103 days compared to white students being out 21 days due to out of school suspensions, right, per 100 students. And then look, what's the final piece that goes to? They're suspended and expelled 3 times more than white students. And then they end up going into this discretionary, violation where they go to alternative school or the juvenile justice system. And folks, that is how our Black children, especially our Black boys, end up following this system. When you talk to me and I ask you, have you read the 13th Amendment? Do you understand that there's a loophole that they never really got rid of slavery? They just figured out a different way to do it. You get that, right? Slavery is illegal except as punishment for a crime. Did you know that? Why do you think so many Black men are felons? Why do you think we had Jim Crow laws? Why do we think this is what happens? So when we talk about wanting to change the systems, this is what we're talking about, right? This isn't something that's made up. These are real statistics. These are real children that are experiencing these things right here in front of your face, and they matter. And you should listen to them, and they deserve to be heard, and they deserve to be validated, and they deserve to be advocated for. But this is the truth, right? And the challenge in the region back home is when you make up less than 3% of the population, it's really hard to make it so that your voice matters. And that's one of the reasons I'm so grateful to have the platform that I currently do and the platform that we are building with the new talk show. Because what that enables me to do is it enables me to amplify those voices at a much larger scale and volume. It allows me to be able to say, see what's really happening. It allows me to bypass mainstream media. It allows me to bypass those trigger words where they just want to piss you off, right? And it allows me to show you what's really happening and for us to have a conversation authentically, right? That creates some understanding. So like so many of you all are saying that my heart breaks for Jaden, my heart breaks for Keelan. So that's empathy. And now that you've seen what's happened with them and you've seen that he's punished after he was slapped first, right? Now you have understanding. And when you have that empathy and you have understanding, now we have compassion. And now we can have real conversations that matter and that are productive. Y'all got that? Right. Yeah, there's no censorship for me, girl. No censorship. So if you believe the conversations that we have are valuable, if you want to ensure we make this thing happen and we go higher, then I'm going to ask you to go to the DaniCokeshow.com and to donate, to become a sponsor, to get tickets to the live audience, to do what you can to support what we're doing here. Also, do not forget these babies, right? I want you to write your letters to the editors, write your opinion articles, write to the Department of Education, write to the Hawkins County school system, write to the Board of Education, have them, like Erica said, modify that handbook, right? We want to have hate speech and racial targeting, and that should be listed in these behaviors, right? Because they are not the same things as inappropriate gestures from 14-year-old boys, right? So accountability, advocacy, authenticity, and take action. Don't just leave this broadcast in your feelings. Do something about it, okay? The babies are relying on you. So I appreciate you all for joining me tonight. Y'all know what I always say. I'll be back on Tuesday. For those of you who are wondering, yes, I talked back to Diana Harshberger's office. I talked to her chief of staff for 20 minutes. Yes, I contacted the Department of Veterans Affairs in Washington, D.C. to ask about the information that she obtained and was it used appropriately, because there are guidelines about how politicians can use the information they get from the VA or any other government agency. And they did call me back today and ask me for some additional information. So Diana, hey boo. Yeah. So I'm just not with it, right? Veterans are not pawns. Our black babies don't belong to you. If you are in a position of public service and you are hurting people and causing harm and using them for your own good, I'm going to hold you accountable to the best of my ability, as loudly as I can, because I believe that we as human beings deserve better than that, and we're going to make it happen. So. Yeah, Teresa, we're going to talk about guidance counselors the next time I talked to Jaden and Jessica. So I appreciate you all very much. Be amazing. Be light. Y'all know, be love. I know sometimes I give you tough love, but it is still love. It is because I want us to be better, and I believe that we can be better together. And it's just going to take some difficult conversation, sometimes a little discourse, but we can make it happen. All right. So I'm out of here, you guys. Peace.